With the NBA regular season just about a week away from ending, I thought it'd be fun to do my NBA awards and my NBA All-NBA and All-Defensive teams. I would like to mention this is my first time ever trying to do a list of All-NBA teams and all these other different types of things. Now these awards and these teams are going to be based off just straight basketball. I'm not being biased or anything. Also, if your favorite player didn't make one of the awards or one of the lists or whatever, do not get mad at me. My word holds absolutely no value on who's going to win the award. Now I have a lot of things to talk about, so before I get into the video, if you guys could leave a like on this and subscribe to the channel if you're new and notifications on. I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year. And with all that being said, run that intro. First off, let's go with my All-NBA first team. Like I said in the intro, I have a lot to talk about, so I'm going to go by these teams one by one and kind of just explain my reasoning. For my guards, I went with Ja Morant and Devin Booker. Ja Morant has been arguably the best point guard this year in the NBA, and he definitely has stepped up his game, no doubt about it. In fact, for the longest time, a lot of people said he should have been at least an MVP candidate. And with Devin Booker being the best shooting guard in the NBA, there was no doubt about it. I had to put him in the first team. Some people might call it bias, but to be honest, it just wouldn't be fair if I didn't have Booker in there because again, he's the best shooting guard in the NBA, and even from a guard standpoint, I still think he's one of the best. For my forwards, I went with LeBron James and Giannis. Now LeBron, I was honestly about to flip for another player who's on the second team, but I'm sorry, he's probably going to be the scoring champ. And at the age he is, the fact he's still able to dominate like this left me with no choice, as I still think he's one of the best players in the NBA. And just because the Lakers have struggled, I'm not putting that on LeBron James because he's done every single thing he possibly could, even though it's his fault for being in that situation. Giannis was a no-brainer. In fact, he's an MVP candidate, so I think putting him at the 4 definitely made sense to me. In fact, I've stand by the take that I think he's the best player in the NBA right now, so obviously I had to put him on the first team. And for my center, I went with Nikola Jokic. I feel like he's just been the best center in the NBA this year, and despite the standings of the Denver Nuggets right now, we can't just ignore the fact that Nikola Jokic has been very dominant this season. So for a recap of the first team, I went with Morant, Booker, LeBron James, Giannis, and Nikola Jokic. For my second team with the guards, I went with Steph Curry and Luka Doncic. When it came to Luka, he was fighting to be on the first team, but I just felt like that Devin Booker deserved to be on there more than him. Despite Steph Curry struggling during the season and him currently being injured right now, I'm not going to just ignore that he's had a pretty good season, even though he has struggled during it. For my forwards, I went with Jason Tatum and Kevin Durant. Now, Jason Tatum could have taken LeBron James' spot, but again, I just felt like LeBron deserved it a little bit more. Kevin Durant is always going to be a top player in the NBA, so running him at the 4 definitely was a no-brainer. And for my center, I went with Joel Embiid. Now, I know it was very hard to not have Joel Embiid in the first team. However, I had to pick between him and Jokic, and of course, you guys know I had to go with Jokic. I just think he's better than Joel Embiid, and I've been on this the whole entire season. So with my recap for the second team, I went with Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, and Joel Embiid. And finally, for my third team. For the guards, I went with Chris Paul and DeMar DeRozan. Chris Paul was a no-brainer, obviously, if you can't tell, and DeMar DeRozan, the man is averaging like 28 points per game, so obviously I had to put him on there. Also, he's just had a really good season. For my forwards, I went with Jimmy Butler and Karl Anthony Towns. There's not a whole lot I really want to say, but just those players have done incredible this season, including Jimmy Butler, who, yeah, he struggled a little bit, but he had to be at the 3. Also, I know Cat is technically a center, but I just felt like with the way that basketball has kind of became positionless, that it just made sense to put Karl Anthony Towns at the 4, so I could put Rudy Gobert at the 5. I'm sure I could move Cat to the center and try to find another power forward, however, I just didn't think it was necessary. Now, my all defensive teams, to be honest, I'm not going to really go too much in depth to. I'm just going to put them on the screen. I might get called biased for putting Devin Booker on an all defensive team, however, we need to talk about the fact that he is the best defensive shooting guard in the league right now. I'm not going to let his defense go unnoticed. That would be completely ridiculous for me to do that. Everything else, I think it should speak for itself. Now let's get on to the actual NBA awards. For the first award, we have Rookie of the Year, and the finalists are Cade Cunningham, Scotty Barnes, and Evan Mobley. All of these rookies have made a very good impact on their team, and there's no doubt in my mind that these are going to be guys for the future. Cade struggled to start off the season, however, he really has picked it up in the second half. Evan Mobley has been dominant for a majority of the year, and Scotty Barnes has been that candidate that we're not really talking about, but he fully does deserve to be in the conversation. And the NBA 2022 Rookie of the Year goes goes to Scottie Barnes. This might come as a shocker, but I think Barnes has had the best season as a rookie, and he's been so dominant, and for some reason we haven't really talked about it. Mobley was a close second, but I'm sorry, Barnes was just too dominant for me to not put him there. Next up, we have the NBA Most Improved Player of the Year, and the finalists are Miles Bridges, Jordan Poole, and Dejante Murray. Miles Bridges has really stepped up for the Charlotte Hornets, and he's actually been a top forward in the NBA. Jordan Poole came out of nowhere and has really stepped up for the Golden State Warriors and has actually been a really good starter for them this season. And finally, we have Dejante Murray, who was able to make the jump to NBA All-Star. And the 2022 Most Improved Player of the Year award is going to go to Dejante Murray. The man has gotten better statistically and physically if we look at him, not to mention, like I said, he was an NBA All-Star, which the other candidates on this list were not even close to doing. Next up, we have the Mba Six Man of the Year award, and the candidates are Tyler Hero, Tyrese Halliburton, and Tyrese Maxey. I'm going to be very quick about this award because I'm sure you guys know who I'm going to pick, but Tyler Hero has been dominating for the Miami Heat, while Halliburton and Maxey have been dominant for their teams. I'm sorry, but Tyler Hero easily has the edge as he's been playing really well for the Heat. In fact, the jump that Tyler Hero has had this season is very impressive, and I feel like we're not talking about it enough. Next up, we have the Defensive Player of the Year award, and the candidates are Mikhail Bridges, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Rudy Gobert. Mikhail has been the best perimeter defender in the NBA this season, and it's not even close. Mind you, he's also someone that's been able to guard even some bigs. Giannis is Giannis and will always be a dominant defender in the NBA, and again with Rudy Gobert, who is someone that's always a candidate. And the 2022 NBA Defensive Player of the Year award goes to Mikhail Bridges. This might seem biased because I'm a Suns fan, but like I did mention, he's the best perimeter defender in the NBA, and he can even guard some bigs. Mikhail always has the role of guarding the other team's best player, and even tonight when Giannis played Luka Doncic, he couldn't stop him. Mikhail is able to guard any player, and he's done it very well this whole season. I might get a little backlash for this, but I'm sorry. I feel like Mikhail's season is not exactly being talked about enough, and he deserves the award. Next up, we have the Coach of the Year. The candidates are Monty Williams, Eric Spoelstra, and Taylor Jenkins. Phoenix, with Monty Williams, has had the undisputed best record in the NBA, and nothing is going to change that. Currently, at the time of recording this, they have 62 wins, and if they win tonight versus the Thunder, they're going to have a franchise record of 63 wins. The Miami Heat are the first seed in the Eastern Conference, and they've had a very successful season, don't get me wrong. And Taylor Jenkins has been a very important reason why the Grizzlies have been so dominant this season, and they've really made the change that they needed to make to become a contender. And the 2022 NBA Coach of the Year award goes to Tom Thibodeau. Now, all jokes aside, it was Monty Williams who should have been the award winner last year, but he got snubbed. Do I even need to give an explanation? The Phoenix Suns have been the best team in the NBA the whole entire season, and Monty is a very important reason because of that. And finally, we have the NBA MVP. The candidates are Nikola Jokic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. Jokic has had the best season when it comes to statistics out of all of these guys. Joel Embiid has also been dominant and has been a very close second to Nikola Jokic. And Giannis plays like an MVP candidate every single season, so I'm not exactly surprised. And the 2022 NBA MVP award is going to go to Nikola Jokic. This is someone that I've been saying should have won the NBA MVP for the entire season, and it wasn't really getting talked about until around the late couple months of the season. And that will recap your 2022 NBA awards. Again, these are my personal opinions, and I did analysis and all these different types of things. However, these are the awards, and these are the lists that I feel like should have been in place. In the comment section below, I want you guys to comment what your NBA awards are and your predictions, and I will actually pin the most accurate predictions.